Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. I'm your host, Jeremy Weber, joined as always by my man in the Netherlands, my co-host, Dan Bondelak, the man with the best hair on the show. On today's episode, we are going to be talking Q3 in the NFT market. There has been a lot of red. There's been some positives here and there. We're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Before we get started, please be sure to like today's show. That's really important. Subscribe to our channel, even more important. And most importantly, head to FLOLiO.com for all of your NFT portfolio management needs. So also, nothing we say today is financial advice. Please do your own research, yada, yada, yada. Dan, how are we doing on this lovely Monday?
Doing good. I watched the F1 race on Sunday, and it was a rainy race, so that's always full of drama, and you love to see it. Has celebrated a friend's birthday on Saturday, so I'm back here. It's Monday. It's looking good. Market's interesting. There's some stuff happening, some good, some bad, and there's some. It's a little bit more alive now, so that feels good.
Yeah, there is some like concentrated, like we're seeing a decent amount of volume on OpenSea today. It's pretty concentrated
Yeah.
between Renga and this one that we were talking about before we went live, Katara World. I know nothing about it. All I know is that it has been pumping from like a 0.03 mint to now. Let me update real quick to like zero point 0.5 something, 0.46. So there's a little bit of undercutting going on. People taking profits, no big deal. But it's definitely getting a ton of volume. So that's
Yeah, for
pretty
sure.
wild. Let's get into some of our data first before we talk about individual projects. So first off, real quick, for the month of September, OpenSea volume, and I know that there's a lot of volume on X2Y2, but it's kind of hard to find, the best data for that volume. So OpenSea volume, 349 million in September. That's down 30% month over month, 88% year over year. Not great. Active traders on OpenSea, 363,000, down 7.5% month over month, but up 30% year over year. So the 7.5%, I think a lot of that too could be people trading on X2Y2, people who have a bunch of different wallets, not using as many of them anymore because they don't need to use as many of them. So I don't think that number is too terrible. If we look at Q3 as a whole, volume, it was $1.38 billion on OpenSea for the months of August, July, August, and September. That is less than every individual month from August 2021 through May of 2022. So
That's
that just
bad.
goes to show you how bad of a bear market it is. But there are still, wins to be had in this bear market. And so I want to first touch on some of the positive things that we've seen, not necessarily on the data side, but more, big picture, long term. Some of the headlines over the last quarter, we've seen Apple announced that they're going to allow NFTs into games in the App Store. Starbucks launching their NFT loyalty program. The Museum of Modern Art selling physical art and is going to be adding digital art to its collection. Christie's Auction creating a digital art platform. The Nasdaq providing custodial services for Ethereum and Bitcoin. So there are still, and that's just within like the last month.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of very and professional sports teams getting involved. Like I missed out on some of those. There's so much to be bullish about long term. Is there going to be continued pain in the short term? Probably. Like I don't expect us to magically flip a switch and one day everything is better. It's going to take a while, but I still am as confident in the long term viability of the NFT space as ever. It's going to change. It's going to, not be what it is today a year from now, but being flexible and being able to adapt is a very important skill.
Yeah, and to add on to that list, Reddit, they introduced their NFTs like maybe a month ago, and they just sold out their Generation One NFTs, and I don't even know how many there are, but they're doing very very good, and people are up on their investment. So and also I noticed that in the crypto subreddits, their mentality kind of switched on NFTs. It used to be like very like ew, like not this scam stuff, But after Reddit NFTs, the sentiment kind of shifted towards, oh well, I guess that's like interesting.
Okay.
So that's good. I think any sentiment win is like a huge W right now, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. And I think as people, some of the people in the space who had bad intentions are no longer around or not around as much. I think we're going to see, the people who generally want to be here for the long term, and I include, Dan, you and myself in that category, are going to continue to hopefully have a louder voice and spread, a more positive message and try to help introduce more people into the space and make it less intimidating. So I'm very confident long term. I'm not going anywhere. I know Dan's not going anywhere because he's got to wait for Wolf Game to drop and make sure that
true.
goes well. And we know Dikenza's not going anywhere. Just one of the absolute goats of the NFT space. So we had those headlines. Let's talk about some winners from this quarter. I don't want to focus really on losers. I don't feel like that's a really good thing. Maybe we can talk about some projects that have missed a little bit, but we can't talk about Q3 winners without mentioning Renga and the insane run that that project is on right now. Very happy I got into that when we did. Also, NFL All Day, and this is one that I'm really, really happy about because, that's the Dapper Labs project, similar to NBA Top Shot, which is what got me involved in NFTs. And it seems to me like they've learned lessons from where they went wrong in Top Shot, and they've, made collecting NFL All Day moments fun. They've kind of gamified it, which I think is a good thing in the short term because, these as a collectible, are they going to have value in 20 years? I'm not really sure. It's hard to create something that has that kind of significance long term. Yeah. But I do think these days it's fun to have an NFT that you can actually, win other stuff with, play games with. I think that's a really big positive, for NFL All Day and Dapper Labs.
Agree. It and just to touch on what you said, it is very difficult for any project to create anything with that amount of longevity, and that's part of the reason why I naturally kind of gravitate towards games and collectibles, because when they aren't right, so it's maybe more like a, what do you call it, just for the art or whatever, right? It's hard, not a collectible but a PFP thing. It's hard to see those around for 10-20 years if it's just that, so there has to be something more to it, I think, for it to really have that longevity.
Yeah, I mean, right now there's so much speculation. Renga right now is a win for me, but it's also very speculative. I believe that the team will do cool stuff with it long term, but that remains to be seen, right? That's why I've sold some, and I still have a decent amount, but I've sold some because it's a risk, and I'm not willing to let it all hang out there. So I've taken enough off to where if things start to go down, I'm not going to panic. But I feel good about the plays I've made. Another winner, in my opinion, was 10KTF. We've talked about 10KTF plenty, but they wrapped up their season 1 this last quarter. I think they did an absolutely awesome job, with the storytelling that they've created. And I'm excited to kind of see what happens next, for season 2.
Yeah. I mean, 10KTF, classic project, has been around for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mid-September was their 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, and they've always, been around, been active, been building, been expanding on their story, and good. I never heard any negative sentiment towards 10KTF and ever. So
yeah, they had, in Q3 they had their combat crates that brought a lot of new people, myself included, into the ecosystem. They did a big ApeCoin drop for people who've been playing, and participating for a while. They just announced on Thursday that if you participated in this final, Battle Town series, you earn some ApeCoin as well. So I'm going to be able to claim 52 ApeCoin here in a week or so, which is pretty cool. Just for being involved in it and following along, you're getting rewarded, which I don't think is a bad thing. More liquidity in the market. So, I think 10KTF has done a great job, and I think they're going to continue to do cool stuff.
I think so as well. So,
what are some other projects that I know you follow, Dan, that you think have, I think, in Q3, I don't think we can really talk about how strong a project is based on the floor price. Because there's, if it didn't go down as much as the majority of other projects in the space, that's probably a win. I think we need to look at, what projects have done, if they've delivered anything, to determine whether or not they're a winner in Q3, which will set them up for, heightened success in future quarters.
Yeah, what is may not come as a surprise, but of course I will have to mention Wolf Game. Like wow, shocker, right? And again,
And just so
it's
everybody knows, Dan is not getting paid by Wolf Game to
no,
mention them every episode. Just like I'm
I know
not
you
getting
would
paid
think
by
so,
Renga.
but
Yeah, I'm also not getting
um,
paid by Renga to mention them every episode either. So there's that.
yeah, it's hard because like I pay a lot of attention to projects I own, and I pay less attention to projects I do not own. So naturally, I would talk about projects I own more. So it's a little bit difficult, but hey, at least I'm here now talking about facts. Uh, so one thing I want to mention about Wolfgame is I believe their token is up like 400% over the last quarter, I believe, or because they had like a huge because they fell like really hard. They were down 95% from all-time high and to like 1 cent, and now they're at 4 cents, and I believe they touched 5 cents 2 days ago. They delivered on their Genesis Land reveal this quarter, or well, last quarter, I suppose, right? 5 days ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean their floors have held up during the last quarter as well. I think they even might be up compared to last quarter, which is like I mean I know you mentioned like a little bit like floor prices and everything, and it's not like the number one driver for whether or not they're doing great. But I mean yeah, as well, like I think it's pretty insane that they've been outperforming the market when there's still not even a full game out. So the game is dropping this quarter. I hope if it doesn't, I'll be sad, and my bags will be as well. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be make or break. I think I also did de-risk a bit, so I traded my wolf for some land parcels, and I cashed out like 5 ETH or something. And just gotta be like, even though I'm bullish on the project, I also have to de-risk and just take profits wherever I can.
Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up, and in the Twitterverse of diamond hand everything, like it's okay to take profits. There are a few NFT projects that I think had some wins and losses this last quarter. One of them being Jenkins the Valet, Bored and Dangerous. We have to talk about how bad the art was for that. From the winning side, they launched their book reader, so now you can read the Bored and Dangerous book. I actually started reading it. It's really fun. I don't think people who aren't involved in NFTs are going to care about that book at all, but there's it's pretty entertaining. I think it's a step in the right direction. But the art reveal over the weekend was not well received, which wasn't surprising. The team is, I still am confident in them. They're not releasing those avatars. They're going to go back to the drawing board, fix it. I hope get it right. I'm not selling any of my Bored and Dangerous at this point. I'm going to continue to hold because I still have belief in that team. But that was definitely a misstep on their part.
Did the floor suffer a lot because of this, or?
Yeah, it was up to almost 0.8 the day before we saw the first images of the Azurian PFPs or avatars, and now it's down like under 0.3. So it took a really, really big hit. Like I said, I still believe in them long term. Another one that had some positives, some negatives was Gutter Cat Gang, and we saw that they had their second annual GutterCon. That was a big win in my opinion. It looked like they threw a great party, but not launching Gang Token in Q3 like was promised months and months ago. I mean, that's a big misstep in my opinion. Like, you can say what you want about the current and crypto market conditions, but if your community is strong as you say they are, you shouldn't be as concerned with that, because you would think that they would want to hold those tokens, or that other people not in the community would want to buy your token. So I think that was a misstep on their part, and it definitely has shaken my confidence in Gutter Cat Gang, long term.
Yeah, but I think maybe in general it's a misstep to say like months in advance, like because I don't know when they said they would drop it in Q3, but I think that maybe you shouldn't have like a 1 year roadmap where you say, oh, we're gonna drop this, like we're gonna drop our coin in this quarter, and in the next quarter we're gonna drop a game. Like, it is risky, right? Like you do risk upsetting people and failing to meet those, like promises.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that I had some wins and losses was Goblin Town.
Oh yeah.
I think that they had they did some really cool stuff. I think the McGoblin Burger release, the way that they did that was very innovative. The Grumples are really cool. I think they're a very cute, PFP, especially compared to the goblins themselves, which are hideous. They're supposed to be, but their floor prices has suffered, and I don't really know why, outside of the fact that everything is down. So, I think overall, Goblin Town they've shown that they can do some cool stuff, and that should give people confidence long term. And their team is doxed, their team has experience. So, I think the Goblins are positioned well to bounce back from this if they can do something cool in Q4.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty interesting because they in the last quarter, I guess maybe my memory is a little bit more recent. Can't really remember the start of the quarter, but they haven't really had any like spotlight on them as far as I
No.
know. So that's a little bit interesting because they were all the rage like the quarter before that, and it feels like the focus has kind of like shifted towards. I think it was primarily like storytelling NFTs, but I would also consider them like storytelling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, their floor has been glued to 1 ETH for a while now. I'm looking at some of their charts over on FLOLiO.com, so go check those out. But their unique owner count is up, right? Like
Hmm.
it's getting back to where it was early on because it took a pretty big leg down. Their trading volume has definitely, let me pull this up real quick, because I think this is a good example. Potentially, not telling anyone to buy this, but a good example of how you should be looking where other people aren't during these situations, because that's where there's money to be made. I'm going to talk about a project like that later on. But if we look at, this is going back to near like the peak run of Goblin Town back in June, and we've seen huge volume. The volume has slowed tremendously, but if we look at the 6-month unique owner count, it was high right off the bat because of it being a free mint.
Yeah,
It went down pretty steeply, but it's trending back up, right? Like if we look over the last month,
that's
it's
good.
seeing more new people joining. I think that's bullish long
Yeah,
term. If we look at the floor price has taken a big step back. Like it was pretty high. It was around 8-9 ETH at one point during the peak, and I still think there's potential here to be a project that could rebound under the right market conditions. Now, will we see those this year? I can't tell you. I don't have an answer for you there. But I do think now that I talk out loud, I'm looking at some of these charts that maybe Goblin Town is a good place if you do your research and you see that the team is building cool stuff and you vibe with the community.
yeah. I mean, that holder chart looks great. I guess you don't really see too many of them like those. While the floor is going
Yeah.
down, the holders is going up. Eventually, that's gonna hit like a break point where holders are like gonna go down, and then the floor is gonna go up, and some huge run up. Hopefully,
Yeah, I mean, they only have 5% listed for sale. That's a good number.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So let's move into our next part. I know you wanted to kind of look through and compare some different NFT projects. We'll go back to screen share. Let's start with Azuki, Dan. What are we looking at with Azuki? Because they announced, they've been up and down. There was the Zagabond news that was back in Q2, like near the end of Q2. However, Q3 they didn't have a ton going on. They did release the most recent part of their website, and they've expanded their website to kind of build out the lore, which I think kind of sets the foundation for what's to come next.
Hmm.
You know, let's kind of look through our chart here, which is not pulling data accurately for Azuki, so we're going to need to
Interesting.
fix that. If we look at the floor price, that's pulling data better. So we'll have to look back at the unique holders once we have things fixed. But what are your thoughts on Azuki, after Q3 and going into Q4?
I don't recall what they've done in Q3. So if we look at the data, Q3 started when? July?
Yeah. So if we look back, very beginning of July, floor price was about 11. And right now it's, within half an ETH of that. So it's taken a dip.
Fine.
It rebounded on the speculation that they were going to announce that they were getting VC funding. That didn't happen. They did announce that this new part of their website is live. So there's that. The Zagabond situation didn't sit well with me, which is why I left.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like the community there is still very strong, and I think that they can hold the project together even with Zagabond's issues if they continue to deliver.
Yeah, and half ETH down over this last quarter isn't bad. It's pretty decent, I think. Like considering most projects are down, so only being down by half an ETH is like, it's not bad. It's probably like one. It's probably like one big sweep away from being the same. So in terms of just floor, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to Bored Ape Yacht Club. That as an ape holder, we haven't gotten any news from Bored Ape Yacht Club, non-other side related, since ApeCoin back in March. We had Ape Fest, so that I guess is technically Bored Ape Yacht. I mean, that is BAYC related, but nothing about anything on the roadmap since March for Bored Ape Yacht Club. And I gotta admit, I'm like pretty frustrated with that.
Yeah.
Like I would really like a better, or at least an idea of when we can expect something. Like the next thing up is supposed to be Trial of Jimmy the Monkey and the Mecha Dogs and Mecha Apes. I would like more information there. Enway Games put out a teaser back in March that there was going to be a game coming, which would be cool. But really, just anything at this point. Like there's been, and I know that Gordon, one of the founders, said that like right now they're trying to focus on like delivering big, cool shit, and that takes a while to build. So I get it. It would just be nice to have some kind of update.
Yeah, I mean, it's even the other side is they're gonna have their next what is a voyage, I believe it's called, in late Q4. So about that.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look at the floor price since back in June, it's definitely reflected the overall market being down. But if we go back to the beginning of July, floor right around 90 still, and now we're around 80. So it's not down as much as a lot of projects, but it's still down. And that along with Mutant Apes and Kennel Dogs, we're just kind of sitting in limbo waiting, which I get that it takes time to do things, but still would like to hear something new.
I can definitely imagine, yeah.
So let's go into a few others, and we're going to focus mainly on some of the higher tier projects. So let's go into Clone X next.
So I think this is a rough one.
I think so too. No, it's Clone X. It's a different.
It
was a different thing in our drop down. If we look at unique owners to start, it's up over since July 1st around 95. So it's flat from July. It's up from June. If we look back at when we started pulling data for our site, there was in Q3 we had the forge of items. They had the delay of Monolith 2 because they're working on something else. A lot of people are speculating it's going to be, a token, and that has helped revive the price a bit to, about 6.6 ETH for the floor. I don't know if I buy this speculation of a token. We've talked about it before. Like, is Nike really going to do a token drop for something that they're this heavily involved in? I kind of doubt it. If we look at, 6-month volume, still down. If we look at floor price, way down, 44%.
Oof.
So I mean, July 1st floor was 12 ETH. Yeah, so right around a 50% drawdown,
That's
which
rough. Yeah.
is especially compared to some of the other higher tier
Yeah.
projects. I'm not going to call them blue chips. Compared to the other higher tier projects, that's a pretty big decline. Do you see anything, that could really help catapult CloneX back into the double-digit floor price, or do you kind of feel like this is where it's going to tread water for a while?
I mean, they just have to give back to CloneX. They only like taking, like they're only feasting on their wallets. It's honestly like a punishment to own one at this point, because you're kind of like invested to invest more, right? Like if they're like, hey guys, you can now buy an entire wardrobe. If you're a CloneX holder, you can buy this for 0.1 each. And I feel like it's being like extorted from at this point. I believe Nike was the only profitable like Web2 metaverse company or whatever. I don't know. I read some sensationalist headline. I would assume it's because they're just feasting on CloneX. So
Oh yeah,
um,
like the different like sneakers and everything. Like
yeah,
it's a lot. Let's go into Doodles next. Doodles, I still don't know what they're doing. It's the floor. I don't know why these are an 8.5 ETH floor. I mean, you could say that about pretty much every project, but I don't know, man. Like Doodles have never really done it for me. Talk about, along with Yuga and Bored Apes, like not really communicating. They haven't
yeah,
said anything. We still don't know what a duplicator is. We still don't know what a Genesis box is. We know that they've made a ton of money, but we have no clue what any of these, different NFT collections they have, like, are able to do. Dan, do you have a
yeah.
response?
No, I mean I don't. I guess, but the holder chart does look pretty nice. The unique owner chart, I get it is going up.
Yeah.
To be fair, but I don't think that this holder chart reflects like the grievances people have. I would assume that the sentiment isn't great. They don't say anything, so holders are kind of left in the dark, and there's bad sentiment in general, right? So I guess like all the recent news made it like had like a recovery, but if you compare like the drop from July to the resurgence in August, it's it's not great.
Yeah. I mean, July, to start the quarter, they were around 13 ETH. If you go back like a week before that, they were at 15. So that's another big drawdown right there. They're going to have to announce something big as well to help that recover. They did bring in a new CEO, which is a good thing, I suppose. And that can go into who we talk about next, which is Cool Cats. Cool Cats have been pretty steady over the last
Hmm.
quarter. They haven't gone crazy up. They haven't gone crazy down. The unique owner chart for this one also up from where we started July, 5,500. I know you're one of those new unique owners, Dan, so
Yeah, I
congratulations
am.
there.
Thank you, thank you.
And they actually had their one of their biggest volume days,
Yeah,
on September 21st, from the previous like 5 months. So that's something.
yeah, that was the CEO announcement. I would assume.
hmm The floor price, like I said, July 1st, the floor was right around 3.9, 2.65 now. So it's down, but not as much on a percentage basis as some of these other projects we've looked at as well. What do you, as someone who's in the community, what do you see anything ahead in Q4 that you think is going to be beneficial for Cool Cats?
I don't really know what's ahead for them. I own it. I own one, but I don't really keep tabs too much. But I know that the CEO, he on the like announcement spaces, he mentioned how he wants to connect the project more and like build out the brand. And with connect, I mean all the like the cool pets secondary collection,
Okay.
because it's a little bit disconnected. And I think that if they work on the Cool Cats brand more and connect those two projects a little bit better, as in like how Pudgy Penguins is doing it, for example, I think that's a good example how you should do it. then yeah, I
Okay.
see. Yeah, like it's possible that they do well next quarter, or like I mean this quarter, Q4. I keep
Yeah.
saying next quarter because I speak from like a Q3 perspective.
Nope. It's October, baby. One of the best months of the year. I mean, we got pumpkin spice everything. My God, it's beautiful.
There you go.
So let's go. Let's move now into. We talked about other side a little bit already. Price of those has gone down. We've only done the first part of the voyage. I don't think we're going to see. We'll see something else this quarter, but I don't think we can expect to see a playable game maybe until Q4 of next year.
Yeah.
Like hopefully they increase the pace of these voyages, because based on the white paper they dropped, it said 11 voyages, and we're one voyage in, and that was almost
Yeah.
3 months ago. So I mean, at this pace, we're going to get this game in 2025.
That's rough. Yeah.
So I mean, if it's if it's a great game, and this is also why I would really like, and sorry to go off on a tangent, I would really like you guys to do something with the Bored Ape Yacht Club roadmap to keep like something to do, right? Like at this point in time, there's really nothing to do with your ape besides look at it and watch like
Mhm.
the floor price go down. I would love to do like when they man, if they relaunch like that mobile game, just do something. Like that was fun. That was something to do for ape and mutant holders, but right now there's really nothing. So it's like, can we do something here, guys, please? So
Yeah.
that's my last grievance there.
I hope that in this quarter, where with the next voyage, that they maybe introduce a way for people to do like dailies on the game or something. At least because it's been what, half a year or something. How long has the other side been like out as like a collection?
It launched April 30th, and then the first voyage, I got to double check. I believe it was like mid July.
Yeah, because I
I
would
think.
assume that this voyage isn't just going to be the same as the last, except there's more people, right? There has to be more stuff to it. So if I would be extremely happy if it was something where people can come back to and do something every now and then.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool, Dan. Okay, let's talk Moonbirds. They had controversy and then some positive things as well in this quarter. There was the CCO decision where they went from being IP ownership for their holders to a CC0 project where anyone can use the IP of the individual Moonbirds. They can't use the name because that's trademarked, but anyone can use a Moonbird in any way they see fit. That definitely was not well received. I was one of the people who thought that that was ridiculous, basically from the standpoint of like you kind of just flip the script on your holders like out of the blue. It
Hmm.
seemed like, and then but on the positive side, they had their future-proof call in Q3 as well, where they kind of laid out the next year plus for the project. I did a recap video on that. You can go back and watch if you haven't seen it yet. But I thought that was a very solid presentation as well. If we look at their numbers, we can see holder count has
Interesting.
it dipped, but it's still it's up from where was it in July? July it started 65, so pretty flat from the start of July. We did see a dip down when the issues were happening around the CC0, but it's recovered back up. Volume has been low. The highest volume was once again when the CC0 decision was made and people started dumping their Moonbirds and people started scooping them up. Like that led to that high volume. And if we look at floor price, this is an ugly one. Like this is a really, really ugly one. But, you know, in this quarter, it topped at a floor price of around 28, 29, currently at 10.65. So that's a pretty big decrease. I think that, there's still more good things to come from Moonbirds. And if I were a holder, I wouldn't be panicking. And if I was in a position, they're going to have a token release in Q1. There are more good things coming to I think Q4 is going to be a very quiet time for
Hmm.
Moonbirds. Like they said in future proof that the Moonbirds mythics as well as the token are coming in Q1. So I think this is a really good opportunity if you have a little bit of ETH, not financial advice, looking at Moonbirds and oddities as a potential place to make a play kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean that's a rough looking graph.
Yeah.
Don't know too much about Moonbirds and Proof, but yeah, I mean I would say at least what seems right to me at least, maybe I would definitely keep an eye out for Moonbirds. I would cautiously keep an eye out this quarter and then see. I would like trade with the flow of the floor, honestly. Like if it's picking up, I would personally maybe buy one, not financial advice. And if it's slow, I would hold off another day, honestly. I would but I think if it goes up, I think it'll go fast, you know.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Let's look at Pudgy Penguins now.
It should be a
Founder
nice
Luca
one.
founder Luca Netz came on our show for the second time. Great guy. Anytime I can talk with Luca, I always learn something. He's very sharp. He's having the same issue with the unique owner chart as we did with what was that, Azuki? We had that issue.
Hmm.
So we'll have to get that fixed. Volume.
Ooh.
If you volume's been low recently, but if you look at a few of these days, we had that huge 400 ETH sale that happened this quarter for the one of one Pudgy Penguin, like the real Pudgy Penguin.
Yeah.
And there was just some crazy days. They announced that they had their toys coming out. They got the
Hmm.
book coming out. They have an all-star cast of advisors helping them, grow the business. Like, Pudgy Penguins may have been not just from floor price, but let me pull up floor price real quick. But just overall, this may be one of the best perform. Yeah, I think this probably
Wow.
wins Q3. I think Pudgy Penguins is like one of the maybe the winner of Q3.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty safe call to make. Definitely, not only floor sentiment as well, brand development. It all looks good. You know,
Yep.
solid improvement.
Yep. I think if you look at floor price combined with community sentiment, combined with what the team is building and what they have shown and how they're building the Pudgy Penguins brand and IP, the Pudgies win the quarter.
I think so.
I called it here, folks. You heard it.
They have one.
Pudgy Penguins. I still need to buy a damn Pudgy Penguin, don't I? All right. On to something else. We have a few more projects on the list, Dan. I would like you to take the lead on those. I don't know as much about them.
Let's see. We have. Oh yeah, I wanted to look at the Renga black box actually, like specifically the black box,
Okay, let me pull it up real quick.
because I think you touched on Renga in general a little bit, but
Floor price on the black box is 5.45.
oof, it was
That's
4 earlier today.
crazy. That's crazy. 5.45. Wow. Jesus.
Look at that.
You know
Look.
when I was
I don't know.
just gonna-
Look, Pudgy Penguins winning last quarter. I mean, the black box of Renga.
it's certainly up there, man. God, I called this one a while ago. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back real quick for this call.
There you go.
But yeah, that's a crazy chart.
Look at that.
Jesus.
Is that 0.5 ETH in what, like September 1st?
Yeah,
What is
not
that?
long ago. Not long ago, the floor
Jeez.
0.5 ETH. Yeah, as recently 0.42 in early September. It crossed 1 ETH for the first time. It had been, when it first dropped, it was going for 1.4 ETH, and it pulled back. And around 0.8, I was like, this is a really good buy, people. And no one listened to me because no one listens to me. But at 0.8, I was like, you guys should people should look at these. And that was purely based off of, I liked the Art of Seasons and what Dirty Robot was doing there. I really thought that the previews, like the preview images they were posting on Twitter every day, were super cool looking. And now it is just going parabolic.
Yeah, I think you called it at 0.8. I think when we were calling on this podcast, because I vaguely remember the number 0.8. I don't know. I don't know if I'm correct, but we have been beating this drum for ages. Never bought one myself, unfortunately. But
Dan, you just got to listen to me sometimes, okay? I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I get a few things right every now and then.
Yeah, and when you do, it is good. You know, like Akutar and Renga. I think they were both 10x's. And wait, I think Akutar was even like way more than a 10x. I think that one was crazy as well.
Yep. Is there anything else you want to talk about here, or can we move on to our Q4 outlook?
Let's do one more. How about Murakami Flowers? I think that one might be interesting to look at. Flowers. Because I think
taking a big nose
they're down bad.
Yeah, they're down. Oh my god.
So that's flatlined.
It did 1,000 volume at its peak, and at the bottom it was doing like 4.6, 4.6. Oh man. This floor prices, our chart here is wrong.
Wait, try putting it on. It might be correct, but it's being skewed by. It's being skewed by that one outlier.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if we look at 1 month, even it's still down 16% over the last month.
Yeah. Could you go back to the 3 month? Wait, what is that? No, wait, it's 6 months. I think our logo is looking at. So could you maybe hover over some numbers and instead of like the outlier? Okay, well, it's not down as much as I thought it was. I mean, it's just like been a slow, gradual decrease.
It started the quarter around 3, and now it's around 1, so it's down like 66% on the quarter.
That is pretty bad.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into let's wrap with what we're thinking for Q4, and some of our conviction plays there. Because I have one in mind, and actually a Renga of mine just sold a few minutes ago.
Oh.
And I'm gonna go sweep the floor on one of these here in a little bit. So why don't you lead it off? It's not Wolfgame.
Are you gonna sweep Wolfgame or? Look, hey, when that full game launches, and I'll be running my victory laps around you, okay?
Hey, you're making it sound like I'm against Wolfgame.
Why are you funding Wolfgame, JWeb?
Listen, man, at this point in the market, if people are getting wins, I'm happy for them. Like, especially people like you who have had high conviction in these bets for a long time. Like, if Wolfgame goes nuclear and you make so much money that you just quit, interacting with me in general, I won't blame you at all, and I'll just be very happy for you, Dan.
Look, JWeb, I can give you 300 likes on your next Twitter post. Okay, all you have to do is if you tweet, "Should I buy Wolfgame?" I will get the Wolfgame people out there. Okay, I promise. I think you should try this.
That's the Twitter engagement hack that everyone's talking about right now. Is just mention Wolfgame, and you automatically get a shit ton of engagement. So I know Wolfgame, you're excited for that game in Q4. Anything else in Q4 that you think, you're going to be paying close attention to, or that you want to bet on?
Anything else in Q4? Well, I guess the other side. I have one, and I'm very, very curious to see what they're gonna do. I mean, I think the technology is really good. I like that you don't have to own to play. Just like that, what was it called? Digi Daigaku or something?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like the free to own or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious to see what's going to be in the next voyage. I think that it's been so dead for so long that there isn't really any, like, there's no real, what do you call it? Like, demand for like an immediate buy. So I think that, again, not financial advice. I think that it's so dormant that the floor is slowly like whittled down to where it is currently. But I think that when the announcement drops for the next voyage, we can see a lot of action. Unsure where that goes, but I personally wouldn't be surprised to see it go back to 2.2, 2.3 or something.
Okay. I can dig that. I still think Bored and Dangerous is a good buy. That's not what I'm planning on buying right now. I'm just holding my very large supply of that. I have like 15 of them. What I am getting ready to buy a bunch of, however, is Akutars. They've been hanging around this local bottom of 0.4 ETH for quite a while now. Let me pull them up on FLOLiO real quick. But number one, a few things. They have mass appeal, in my opinion. They have a really strong team with Micah Johnson at the helm leading it. They also are involved with Visa, Time Magazine, Disney. Like, they were the only non-Disney IP at Disney's D23
True.
Expo, which I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. That's really big for Disney to have, Micah Johnson and an Aku, setup at their expo. Like, I think Akutar's at 0.4 ETH right now. I think people are going to look back at the end of this year, and maybe I'm wrong about it being Q4, but I think in the not so distant future, people are going to look back at Akutars and they're going to see that they were sitting at a floor of 0.4 for months and be like, why the hell didn't I buy more of these? Why did I buy the poop NFTs, like quite literal poop NFTs? They've been trading around 0.4 since August 11th. They've been range bound. They've seen the floor of 1.1, but they've been in this range for over a month, and the unique owner count has gone down, which I don't think that's a good thing by any means. But I think there are people who just have patience who are willing to hold and bet on this long term. I'm one of those people. So I'm going to go buy some Akutars. So not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't buy because I said you should. But that is going to be one of my biggest conviction bets for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, and maybe even a better place, maybe put out some offers, I think with a collection like this, where you see more offers being accepted than actual sales, you can pick one up for like, what is that like? So I looked at the floor, it was like 0.44, but offers were going for like 0.38. Save yourself the hassle. You can save some money.
There you go. Yeah, I'll throw a collection offer out right now, Dan.
Okay, but maybe wait before I do it, please.
No, I'm gonna do it.
Just
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I think that about wraps it, man. It's been a bloody quarter, but we're still here. We're still fighting. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna do this again at the end of Q4, and welcome to tax loss harvesting season as well. I'm just unloading crappy NFT fractions of ETH just so I can book a loss and write those off and against some of my gains for the year. So that's going to be fun. DeKenzas, I hope you have a great Q4 as well, my man. Let's book some W's for the Web3 and Me viewers.
Yeah, and we need to see the Kansas collection be way up, or else I'm gonna FUD it on Twitter.
Don't you dare!
These damn Kansas.
All right, nice long episode today. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're still watching at this point, I love you very much. Please like today's show, subscribe to our channel, head over to FLOLiO.com for all of your NFT needs. Share this show far and wide. I'll come, shovel your snow for you this winter. If you're in Europe, Dan will do it. We appreciate all of our viewers so much. We're looking forward to a great Q4 and wrapping up this year on a high note. So for Dan, for the rest of the team at FLOLiO, I am Jeremy. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.